Cool. And we're live. It's been a while since we've been live on here doing live streams, and I feel like I'm kind of rusty. so, um, hopefully, I'll get back into the rhythm as the season moves on. But this is a great one for me to be rusty with because there is I feel like last season I was always the one critiquing the Jazz, saying, "Yeah, they won, but they messed up here and here." So this one, I'll bring up a couple things, but honestly, it's a win against the Thunder. The Thunder are a pretty bad team this year. I'm not expecting much out of them. They're probably going to be in the competition for the first seed. I mean, not the first seed, the first overall pick. So the last seed, I guess, in the NBA. Um, not like young talent, not much established talent on the Thunder team. Well, when you look at the Jazz, we do have some young talent, but most of our talent is established. I thought it was a great win for the Jazz. Um, I guess my one complaint. I'll get this out of the way first, and then I'll stay positive for the rest of the video. Um, no promises, but my one complaint is the Jazz. They didn't really shoot great. Um, Now, obviously, we can't shoot above 50% every night. That would be amazing. But the Jazz shot 44% from the field and just under 30% from the three. That's not awful. I'm not concerned about this at all. I just would have loved for them to shoot better because then we could have gotten beaten the Thunder 120 points to 86 points. But it's whatever. It's fine. It's a great start. I'm not gonna base much of what we saw for this game. I'm not gonna put too much weight here. We played one of the worst teams in the NBA, at least what I'm expecting to be, and it's the first game. But I will say to stay positive, I think the Jazz looked really good. Other than the shots weren't dropping. Um, their defense wasn't perfect, but it looked solid. It looked regular season ready. Maybe not quite playoff ready, but they're ready to play any team in the league right now with how their defense is looking. Their offense, everyone contributed. It didn't look like anyone got off to really a slow start. Actually, let's jump over to the box score. Bogdanovic was their leading scorer with 22 points, and most of the time we think of him as like a spot up shooter, but he was making plays. He was getting in the paint. He was getting pretty easy shots down low. So I'm happy with that. I liked seeing because he has some good little post moves. It's not like he's athletic or an amazing finisher, but he has some footwork and he can get open and get a nice little 8-foot jumper, 10-foot jumper, or lay it up. And he's showing some creativity with the spin off the backboard tonight. So I liked what I saw from Bogdanovic. Um, we saw Jordan Clarkson come off the bench looking confident. He made some good plays. Joe Ingles came out. He shot 4 for 7 from three. It's exactly what I want to see from him. Mike Conley, didn't he wasn't awful, but he didn't really make a ton of plays. But then again, when you get up really early, really fast, um, I don't know, we didn't need much from Conley. And I want to say, even though the thumbnail for this video is Mike Conley in a number 10 jersey, it's not a lot of images of Mike Conley in a number 11 jersey for the Jazz, but I really like the number 11 on Conley again. That's my favorite. Well, that's my number when I would play basketball. So Conley might be my favorite player this year. Rudy Gobert, 16 points and what was it, 21 rebounds. Um, that's exactly that's exactly what we want to see from Gobert. And Whiteside, who I've been critical of for a lot of his career. I was initially critical of Whiteside coming to Utah. Now more hopeful. I switched a little bit before the preseason on that, but he gave us what kind of what we hoped for. Not a ton of points, 6 points, but he gave us 2 blocks, 10 rebounds. Um, that's great coming off the bench in 19 minutes, 2 for 4 shooting, hit both of his free throws. I like that. I like that from Whiteside. So overall, I'm not going to dig too much into it. This was, like I said, this was a game against what's probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, and we looked solid. We didn't look like we had really any huge issues. Maybe a little bit of rust with shots not falling in, but Um, I didn't see anything to be terribly worried about. It looked like a solid team ready to play basketball. With that being said, this is our first live stream back. I mentioned this before more people hopped on. I'm excited to be back. Live streams are fun. The more you're in the comments, the more fun this is. I'll hop into the comments here pretty quick and we can get that conversation going. But real quick, just as an announcement, we're not going to like last year. There were 72 games, right? And if it weren't for me uh, getting back late on a plane and falling asleep and missing one game, we would have gotten every single regular season game. 72 out of so we were 71 out of 72. Every single game was a live stream. We were going to try to get coverage for every single game this season, but we're not going to do a live stream for all of them. Um, Live streams are fun. We love them, but they do take more time. And so we want to reserve those so that we can have the most, like, put more energy into the really good games and rather than just sitting here and during the scrub games. So we chose this one as a season opener. Obviously, that's a big one. It's not like live streams are going to be rare anymore, but it's just not going to be every game anymore. So look out for that. If everyone comments and just says that they really want live streams all the time, then Nate and I will talk um and talk about that. But um it's just last year some live streams were one person on and we were just chatting back and forth one on one. And not that we're against that. It's just it's more fun when there's more people on. And I think you guys agree. Um but let's jump into it. I'll hop into the comments. I left a poll. The whole back end of YouTube live stream, setting up the live stream looks way different. So I'm hoping I set it up right. Hopefully it's working well for everyone. They added a poll feature. I threw that in there. Hope I don't know if you guys like it. I'll keep throwing them in there. It's a pretty basic question. This one didn't have time to think of it because I didn't know it was a feature up until just now. So, do you think the Jazz will be the number one seed this year? Yes or no? Let's talk about that. Also, any comment on this game or just the season up ahead? Any hot takes? What do you think is going on in the NBA? Also, some of you I think are part of our fantasy league, which is fun. Two of my players went off tonight, so I'm happy about that. If you want to talk about that or just the rest of the NBA, we can just let's just chat. That's a fun season opener. Jazz win. We're on pace to go 82-0. So let's go. Hopping into the chat. Hello, Weston. It's nice to have everyone back. Nate, this past off season was our first like real off season doing this channel, so maybe we'll try to do more interactive stuff like this throughout the off season. Maybe something for the draft, or I don't know. We'll talk about it, but it's fun to have everyone back in the live stream. And Weston, maybe you caught I made a comment earlier about Nate and I, but I'm Dale. Nate's my buddy who he'll be on for the next two lives. I don't know. We'll figure out a schedule. I Nate will be on next time for sure. Nate and I doing 1v1 like a basketball game. I don't know. We might do it sometime. I don't think either of us have played like much basketball for a while. School and other stuff got in the way, and then ironically this channel might be one of the things keeping us from playing basketball. But yeah, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll just tell stories of when we used to play one-on-one all the time. Young Bala saying Jazz going all the way. Let's hope so. Like honestly, the West is pretty wide open. Everyone's talking about the Lakers again in the West. I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting with the Lakers. Obviously, there's the injury concerns, but um, I think the Jazz got considerably better this year. I don't think it's unrealistic to think the Jazz are going all the way. At the beginning of last season, maybe, but I don't think so this year. Again, Bojan first. Hello from Croatia. Well, welcome, Patrick. Cool that we have a Croatian listener. And I'm like, we haven't talked much about Bojan this offseason, so I haven't been able to give this take. But I do think, like, one of the reasons why I think the Jazz are going to be like not maybe not record wise, but why I think they're a much better title contender this year compared to last year is I think Bojan's going to come in and have games like this pretty regularly. I'm looking at Bojan to score pretty close to 20 points a game, and if we can get that consistently from Bojan, plus with what Donovan's going to start putting out, I'm predicting high 20s for Donovan this year. It's going to be scary, and then when you add everything else in, so Bojan's going to be a huge piece of however the Jazz end up this year. Um, Digging the beard. Thank you. It's been I've I don't know. I've come close to shaving it, except for now where it's like we're getting towards winter, and that's when the beard is most useful. So I'll probably keep it at least through winter, which will be most of the season. I don't know. We'll figure it out. um, Sorry says, do I think Whiteside is good and better than Favors or Ilyasova? Um, for Ilyasova, I think Whiteside is definitely better than Ilyasova. Obviously, way different skill sets. Hassan Whiteside's big. Ilyasova is kind of small for a center at least. Ilyasova is more of a shooter, not much of a bruiser down low. While Whiteside is down low getting rebounds. Um, do I think Whiteside is good, or at least better than Favors? I think he fits in better than Favors. Um, and I don't know. A lot of Jazz fans think that Favors really isn't like after last season. It really isn't that great. Maybe I'm holding on hope for him too long. I still think he was better than maybe what the stats would show and what some games showed. I do think Whiteside fits in better. Watching Whiteside come in, he fills in for Gobert really well. We don't lose a lot of size when Whiteside comes in. He can play that pick and roll game, and he's a great dunk threat. Um, he's not as smooth and in the motions as Gobert, and he doesn't move his feet nearly as much as Gobert does on defense. And this is just coming from a very small sample size, mainly from what I watched this game. Um, that's kind of my thoughts on Whiteside. I think it will be good, and I think come the end of the season, he might be moving his feet a little bit more, and he'll look a lot smoother on the pick and rolls. But he came in and in 19 minutes got 10 rebounds. I'm not going to complain about that. That's awesome, and he hit both of his free throws. So that's something that I love to see from a big man in free throw shooting. Um, okay, you guys are commenting, and I lost my spot. Um, okay, I'm hoping Butler improves in the next game. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. He only got 9 minutes. He didn't hit any shots, but honestly, first NBA game, there's probably some nerves. Um, I don't know. I'm not too worried about him yet. He came in, he did something. He got a rebound and an assist, but he missed all 5 of his shots. He also took 4 threes, which I know people are talking about how he's a better shooter than Oni, but I'm not expecting Butler to come in and be a great 3-point shooter this year. I'm expecting him to be like low 30s, high 20s, honestly, which I hope he proves me wrong. That's kind of what I saw from him in college, is that he's not like college threes, he's fine. I think he has some work to get to the NBA three more consistently. So I hope he dials it back on the 3-point shooting, at least at first. But, and honestly, we're probably not going to see him every game. This is a really deep rotation for the Jazz to run. Quinn Snyder likes to run a 9-man rotation. And what are we running? We're running what is that, 13? So don't expect to see Butler next game would be my take on that. What happened to Ilyasova? Did he get traded or still with the Jazz? I must have missed that news, honestly. Um, I didn't see anything. I'll look it up. Maybe someone else has the info in the comments already. Um, that's weird. I looked up his name on Google and it's all about Niang, who's not on the Jazz anymore. So I don't know what's going on. It looks like he's not with the team anymore, which he played like 2 games. I don't think that's a huge loss. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. I tried to keep on top of all the Jazz news in the offseason. That one must have just slipped by. which is weird because a lot of people that I had no clue who they were, I was getting news about them. Um, I don't know. I'll if someone else wants to look deeper into that and comment, that'd be great. If not, I'll Nate will probably tell me what happened because he knows that stuff better than I do usually. Um, Sori asks, is Rudy Gay going to be a starter or on the bench? My guess is he's going to be on the bench. Um, I think the Jazz are pretty solid with their starting lineup. Um, yeah, I I like the Jazz starting lineup how it is. I like Rudy Gay coming off the bench and having like a Rudy Gay Hassan Whiteside kind of duo at the 4 and 5. And if the Jazz want to go bigger, they can move Rudy Gay to the 3. But um, I'm expecting him to get plenty of minutes, but I don't think he's going to start many games unless it's an injury, obviously, which let's hope not. Um, okay, Weston says, what will happen with Ben Simmons? Um, I don't know. Well, for one, he'll get traded. Um, probably well before the trade deadline would be my assumption. Uh, I just don't know who's going to trade for him. My favorite trade right now is him going to the Blazers in exchange for CJ McCollum, because I think that's a trade that could potentially make both teams better, depending on what else the 76ers get back with CJ McCollum. Um, I think CJ McCollum would fit great with the Sixers, and I think Ben Simmons with the Blazers would add another level of defense and would take some ball handling responsibility off of Damian Lillard. And not to get too deep into it, but Damian Lillard has shown that he's shown signs in the past that he would like to do more stuff off ball because right now he feels like he has to create all of the offense. And like if you watch the Warriors with Steph Curry and Clay Thompson, their best games are when they can just run off of screens and get an open three. So Damian Lillard is looking to play some more off ball stuff. I think that might be a good fit. I think that might be something that could work out for both sides. Um, Weston says, and what do I think Kyrie will do? I don't know. Kyrie's like, I don't know. Kyrie's one of those players where he's always in the news and he's always in the headlines, but I feel like I can't really, um, I haven't really figured him out of what he'll do. If I were, I don't know, if I had to make a prediction, I think he'd end up getting the vaccination. Um, but honestly, he doesn't have like he can do whatever he wants. He's made a ton of money. If he walks away from basketball right now, he could. And if he walks away from basketball right now, in a year or two, when most of the protocols would be gone, I'm hoping he could walk right back, and most teams would take him. So he he has more leverage than some people might think in this situation. Um, I don't know. He already has a championship, so I think what it will come down to is I think it will come to a point where he decides he weighs his options, and it will come down to his friendship with Kevin Durant probably, and if how Kevin Durant handles the situation. But I don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. Um, I hope he plays. Like maybe I don't hope he plays because I don't want the Jazz facing the Nets in the finals, at least with all three of them. So I don't know. And do I think Eric Pascal's is good? Give me a few more games to figure that out. He from what I saw, what I've seen so far, he hustles. He seems to fit in with the team. He's willing to take threes, even though his 3-point jumper looks really weird, in my opinion. Um, he's not very fast though, but it never hurts to have someone who's really willing to hustle who can knock down a three. Um, I'm not quite sure what position he fits in as though. He seems like he's like too big for a small forward while at the same time too small for a power forward. So I don't know where he fits in. I think he has a place on the in the rotation, but I'd expect him once everyone's healthy for his minutes to get lower over the season. I think he's kind of filling in for those Rudy game minutes right now. Shiver says, is Royce O'Neal crucial to the Jazz, especially as a starter? Am I missing his value? Uh, like I don't know. This isn't a fully thought out thought, so if it comes out sounding weird and just way off, feel free to roast me in the chat for it. But my thought is, I think it's really really valuable for every starting lineup to have the guy who doesn't really show up on the stat sheet, um, who is just there to fill a spot on the court and do his job really well and do the hustle stuff so that the other starters don't get tired. That might sound weird because obviously you don't want every starter to have their skills that they can add. And I'm not saying that Royce O'Neal doesn't have skills, but obviously it's not like he's a ball handler. It's not like he's a great rebounder. It's not like he's a great shooter. And his defense, I think, is he's one of the better defenders in the NBA, but um, like man on man defense, that's not really enough to carry anything. It really comes down to team defense, in my opinion, and just having one elite defender isn't going to be amazing. But Royce O'Neal, like who else on this team is going to be able to go guard the best wing player on each team night in night out? And like the thing with that is it's tiring. It's not like we don't have players who don't have that ability per se. Although I think O'Neal is the best at it on the Jazz. But having O'Neal do that leaves it so that Donovan Mitchell doesn't get tired on defense nearly as much, and he can focus a lot more on scoring 30 points a night. So I think there's value there as more of a utility guy in the starting lineup rather than a guy who's going to come in and show off on the box score. Um, and he comes in and he can hit a three when you need him to. He's a hustle player, so he grabs his rebounds, and he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. I don't know. So that's my thought on O'Neal on the starting lineup, and I think a lot of other teams need that utility guy. They look so much for talent that the talent guys get tired after a while. Sawyer says off topic, but the Lakers suck at shooting. Um, I agree. I like what did you like? Westbrook is basically a smaller, not as good version of LeBron James, who's not as good at shooting as LeBron James. So it's like LeBron's he granted he's gotten a lot better at shooting, but I don't know. Lakers really don't have any shooting. So, um, sources, did I see Ben Simmons got kicked out of practice? Yeah, I think I don't know what that is. I think that's Ben Simmons having a bad attitude, Doc Rivers being petty, and if you want to go the conspiracy route, it's the 76ers telling Doc Rivers to just throw him out first chance that they get, so to keep Ben Simmons away from the team to hurt any team chemistry there. But yeah, the Ben Simmons saga has lasted a very long time. Um, and it's interesting, and not to say I feel like Ben Simmons' meltdown was worse than Porzingis's, but it's kind of been interesting to compare those, how the Mavericks handled Porzingis getting like just getting beat up in the media compared to how the Sixers handled Ben Simmons getting beat up in the media. Um, I don't know. That's an interesting thing to think about and compare, and I hope league executives, especially in the Jazz, are looking at that comparison. Hopefully, we don't ever get in a situation like that. But if one of your players is getting beat up, you need to be able to back him up if you want to keep him on the team. So he says also lots of teams might not want Simmons because what he did to the 76ers. I still think there's a lot of teams who would want Simmons. The two things that it comes down to are one, his how much his contract is worth, and like there's not a ton of players that you can trade for Simmons, or you just have to give up a bunch of players, which is rough in the middle of the season. In the off season, that's more doable. Two, I don't think it's that they don't want him. I just think it's that they know they can get him for less. Um, Because he's only been on the 76ers, so I think most teams would be willing to take the gamble that saying he just didn't really get along with the organization. We can bring him here and he'll get along with our organization and it'll work fine. Um, if he goes to a second team and this happens again, that's the point where no teams are going to want him. Um, and Shiver said, "Did Porter Jr. finally get the vaccine? I noticed he's playing in Phoenix tonight. I'm pretty sure. I think as far as like big name players, I think Kyrie's really the only one who is out. Um, I don't know if Wiggins got his second shot yet. I know he got his first, but I'm pretty sure Porter Jr. is taken care of. Um, I sold you on O'Neal. Good. I Yeah, I think O'Neal plays a role, but I don't think like he's one of those players where like if we could replace him with the hustle guy who also has talent, that'd be great. But we got what we have, and we need to make the most of it. And I think having him in the starting lineup is good. Um, oh, sorry, the fly on the wall is not a fly on the wall. Sorry, it's a screw in the wall. So maybe I should just take that out. Sometimes it's depending on how I angle my camera. Sometimes it makes it in, sometimes it doesn't. So, um, and then Weston says, "Do you play video games? And if you do, what ones?" I I have so like I do, but they're mainly NBA 2K, and it's like I have NBA 2K20 on my computer, but my computer's super slow, so like I can't really hop into the games or else everything just goes super slow. So mainly what I play, I have like a PS3 that my brother gave me when he got the PS4, so I'm like two systems behind, and my like most recent game is like NBA 2K16. So I play like, NBA 2K14 and NBA 2K16 a lot. Um, I don't know. I've I don't know. I've never really gotten super into video games. I have played, and so most of the ones that I have played are either like Madden or NBA 2K. Um, yeah, maybe that's boring. I know whenever I tell gamers like I mainly play like sports games, that they all scoff because sports games are the worst. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Uh, when do I think LeBron will retire? Um, I don't know. He can do what he wants. Um, he's he's definitely uh, I don't know. It really depends on where he's feeling. Like I think he could play. He could be like the Tom Brady of the NBA. He could play into his 40s, um, and be a starter, putting up solid numbers into his 40s. Some players, and like at that point, he wouldn't be. It wouldn't be like LeBron James is on your team, so you're in the contention for a championship. Um, and likely he it would be like Kobe's final years where, and I don't think LeBron will get hurt like Kobe, but when Kobe was healthy, Kobe was still good. He wasn't like prime Kobe or anything. But it'll be the same thing with LeBron. LeBron will play as long as he wants to. Some players care about their averages, and when they know they're not contending for a championship, and the next season is just going to hurt their averages, they could do that. I wouldn't be shocked if LeBron goes back to Cleveland or something for his last year. I know there's been a lot of talk about how he could play with his son. He could wait until his son gets drafted and go play with his son for a year and then retire. So I, I think that I don't know. He probably has 3-4 years left, most likely, but he's good enough that he can play longer, like several years longer than that if he wants to. Um, Westbrook won't fit on the Lakers. If he does, he won't have many triple doubles because he is not the main guy. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Um, Obviously Westbrook is a really talented player. I like he's just not a great shooter, and obviously he has other flaws, but he is a very talented player. And the Lakers were like coming into this offseason, they were lacking talent simply because they didn't have anyone on their roster. So I don't think it was a bad move that they got him. I think it will be um, it won't be like an optimized LeBron James roster. Like when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors, that team was like perfectly built around LeBron James. This one won't be, and I think Westbrook is going to be kind of like their he'll be like their injury insurance. Westbrook doesn't have a history of injuries. When he's had injuries in the past, he came back really fast. Sometimes he played through them when there wasn't a risk for further injury. So when the Lakers know that there's a chance that a lot of their roster could be injured at some point, they need Westbrook there so that he can at least carry them through and keep them around 500 if the entire roster is injured, which Westbrook's good enough to do that. Um, yeah, so I'll see. I'm really curious to see how it goes. I agree with a lot of you guys that uh, Westbrook isn't really a great fit on the Lakers. Um, am I secretly Donovan Mitchell? No, but um, no. I was about to say no, but I wish, but like I'm happy with my life. Donovan Mitchell seems to have a pretty great life too, though. Like, if I was secretly Donovan Mitchell, then I would definitely have brought myself on as an to interview for Called Bank Sports, and that would have been great. Grown the channel a little bit faster. Um, have you been to any haunted houses? Not any like legit ones. Well, I don't know. Yeah, not any like ones that I have to go pay for. Um, growing up, there was always like a neighborhood haunted house, which was like someone in the neighborhood would they put quite a bit of money and effort into it, and they were always pretty good. So I always had fun with those. They they were like they were never too scary, but they were good enough to appreciate the effort, and you got a few scares. Um, what made me want to start Called Bank Sports, and who had the idea? That's a good question. Um, so this it started before we started as a podcast before as a YouTube channel. And so it was my idea, and I guess I'll give you the medium version of the background story. Um, so right, I work in marketing. Um, yeah, so right now I don't work for this company anymore, but at the time, so right now I'm a manager. Before, when I had the idea, I was just an SEO intern at an agency up in Lehigh, and I was learning about how to get websites ranking higher on Google, and I thought it was really interesting. And I thought like I kind of want to try my own thing. I don't like writing, so I don't want to start a blog. So I was like, I wonder how ranking stuff on podcasts work. And so I was just like thinking like, how could I make an interesting podcast? Um, and like if I knew what I knew now, we would have approached Called Bank Sports way differently than we did. And kind of the reason why we're still doing it is just because we have fun with it. Um, it's not like we're not perfectly optimized to grow super fast, and that's why we're less than 500 subscribers. But so when I was thinking about this, I ran into Nate, who we've been buddies since like elementary school. I ran into him at Smith's when we were both shopping, and like we just started talking, and 30 minutes later I was like, oh, it's been 30 minutes and we were just talking about sports this whole time. So after that I realized, oh, I could probably like get away with a podcast, Nate, because we like we have enough to talk about with when we discuss sports together. So, and I wanted to keep it more specific because there's 200 million different just NBA general podcasts out there. So we went with the Jazz because he's a Jazz fan. I've been in Utah for a while. I'm a Mavs fan first, but I love the Jazz. They're my second team, and so we started we started putting episodes out. It kind of started building traction, and then out of nowhere, the viewers went to zero. Like we were getting like 200 a week, and then went to like zero. Um, so we're just like, okay, let's try out YouTube. We didn't want to do video because we didn't figure out the lighting. So if you look back at our first couple of videos on YouTube, like we don't even have video. And then the next couple, like the audio is kind of questionable and the lighting's pretty awful, and we're not great now, but it's a lot better now. And so then we threw it on YouTube and like yeah, and we threw it like um I don't remember if we even made it for the beginning. I don't know. Um but yeah, that's kind of what happened. That's the story behind that. Um yeah, let me know if you have any other questions about that. Like I don't know if maybe we'll just make a video about that if you guys are interested in it. Um Sorry says BYU is doing good now they lost two in a row. We try to stay nonpartisan on the BYU Utah thing, but um, I know a couple people on the BYU team, and that was there was a lot of hype, and then yeah, um, that happened. So Weston says once my mom ran into Donovan Mitchell at a store, that'd be cool. Donovan Mitchell's one of those stars where obviously he's amazing at basketball, but he's also like super down to earth and a cool guy. Um, did I go to Oak Canyon? Is that a school? I by that question, I'm guessing you can figure out the answers. No, I don't think so. Um, yeah, but with that, we kind of reached the end of the chat. This was a ton of fun, even though like we didn't have a ton of people hop on, but you guys really kept the chat going. Um, Sorry, I just blanked there. But yeah, you kept the chat going. This was a ton of fun. We're gonna have more live streams. We're probably going to try to keep it the more exciting games, and it might just be like a game time decision. Like we might think, like for example, if we play the Sacramento Kings and we think, oh, this is going to be a garbage game, we just won't do it live. Then if it goes to triple overtime, we might just hop on live anyway. So we're going to try to be live for the really good games, and maybe some of the more boring ones we'll just throw up a quick update, and then we can have any conversations in the comment section. But um, thanks for joining us, or me. Nate's not here, but thanks for joining. It was a lot of fun. Make sure to stay tuned for after every game. We're going to throw something up. We're even when it's not live, we're going to try to get it up the night of, and we're going to keep up with our weekly videos on Saturdays. So thanks for joining us, guys. If you are a Jazz fan, you're not subscribed, which I'm guessing you are if you're still here at this point in the stream, please subscribe, like the stream. It really helps us grow, and make sure to tune in next Saturday and after next game. Uh, Thanks for joining us and have a good night, guys.